Good evening. Welcome to the Goffstown Planning Board. This is our regularly scheduled meeting for this evening, April 11, 2024. Have we adopted our rules of procedure for our committee yet?
No,
Is that on the agenda tonight?
no.
Why
Still
would-
working on it.
Still working on it? Okay.
Still working on it. Right now, I'm working on the development regulations.
Okay, just want to make sure that the didn't get forgot.
No, I didn't. It's right
Okay.
up on my computer.
Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda tonight is the minutes from March 28th.
Do I do introduction?
You're right, Phil. Thank you. Get on my list of things to do in the future, please. Usually at the top of it says introduction.
Yeah. Roll call.
All right, we'll start with Dave.
Dave Pierce, alternate member.
Richard Freeman.
Barbara Griffin?
Brian Mazer.
Colleen Mayu.
Tim Redmond.
Scott Azana, Town Engineer.
Philip Devanza.
Collis Adams, Select Board Representative.
Joanne Duffy, Planning and Economic Development Director.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Phil. So the next item in line is the correction of the approval and/or
Motion.
correction of the minutes from March 28th.
Motion to approve with any corrections if necessary.
Second.
Anybody have any corrections for the minutes? Excuse me. Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion
Abstain.
passes. Abstaining? We have one. We have a request for a continuance from St. A's College to the 25th. Joanne, could you tell us why they want that request for a continuance?
Yes, they're still working on the items that we had pointed out to them that we wanted some further information, so they've asked for a continuance.
Are they sure they're going to make the next meeting? Have you asked them?
We just got the new traffic memo this afternoon. So I think that was the only submittal, but there were some outstanding questions, were there?
There were some outstanding questions regarding that list that the board went over, but the traffic memo was the main one.
That was their heavy lift. And I think our consultant is right on top of it too, so should have comments for you.
So you're confident they will make the next meeting, Joanne?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so, excuse me, motion, someone needs to make a motion to grant the request for a continuance from St. A's.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to grant St. A's a continuance till April 25th, 2025. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
Mr. Chair, just for the record, I'm recusing myself on that application, so that'll be my motion.
When the time comes. Okay, that takes care of old business number 1. No. Old business number 1 is who the people are here for tonight. So we have map 5, lot 49. Joanne, please.
Map 5, Lot 49 has been before this board many times for a site plan. They were approved for a 4,800 square foot commercial building with associated improvements for an automotive trailer dealership. They're back because they would like to amend the drainage. They had put in underground drainage when the plan was initially approved, and they are changing it to an above-ground pond.
Okay.
And so they're here tonight to have a plan amendment approved so that they could go ahead and start building this project.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll go right to Scott as a town engineer who's looking at this. Do you have any comments on this request, Scott?
This came up a couple weeks ago. I had very few comments. They asked to be continued so that they could address the comments, and all comments have been addressed to my satisfaction. They're proposing a bioretention pond, which is what we require in our regulations, and everything else on the site has stayed the same.
Okay.
I have no issues with the application.
All right, so we'll come back to you after we have the applicant's presentation.
Mr. Chair, I have a question on the automotive. I guess before my time, I'm curious about what it says, automotive trailer dealership business.
Well, I don't know if that's how it was worded, but it is a trailer dealer.
Right.
It's
So-
automotive is actually from the old plan, which was,
Okay.
it was confirmed that they would not be doing
So that'll be
automotive,
striked?
so that should be stricken.
Okay, thank you.
And I just wanted to say that staff is recommending that they are complete with no regional
Okay.
impact.
So is this a new application, Joanne?
It's an amendment to an
So they
existing.
have to come in new because
Yeah.
they were approved.
So I guess we need our usual route,
That's-
as
Right.
Joanne started to mention.
Right.
Yes.
So I guess we need a motion on to that effect from somebody.
I move that the application for map 5, lot 49 is complete for an amended site plan review and there is no regional impact.
Are they asking for any waivers, Joanne?
No, they're
No,
not.
There are no
there are no
waivers.
waivers.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to find the plan is complete, ready to review with no regional impact. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Motion passes. So we are ready to move forward with the application. Any other questions for staff before we bring the applicant to the table? Board members? None. So you guys want to come on up, identify yourself for the record, and make a presentation?
Good evening, my name is Austin Hawks, owner of the trailer dealership right here in town. Jason can't make it tonight, so I'm just going to give you the presentation. All we're really doing is we're just proposing we change the underground system to an above ground system. And we're doing this just so over the long term it's easier to maintain, less moving parts, that's a lot simpler. The underground system has like a higher probability of failing over the long term. So we just want to do a traditional above ground drainage. With that, there will be greater green space. We're going to do some more like designated plantings along the edge of the pond and stuff, so it'll look good. The access, circulation, and parking remain unchanged on the plan as well. As mentioned, majority of the plan has stayed the same. We're just tweaking the drainage a little bit.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the applicant? Call us.
Scott, do they have a inspection, maintenance, and corrective action plan in
Yes.
place? You're satisfied with it?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
Just,
David?
open basin will be part of phase one.
Yes.
So I'm going to go to Scott. If anybody have any more questions, I'm going to ask Scott for his final consideration of this. I didn't get his opinion completely before, so it's on the record.
I have a question. Do you now feel like you can represent applicants before the planning board after going through this process?
Sure do.
I have no concerns with it.
Are you recommending it?
Yes, yes, I am.
Anybody else?
On the list of conditions,
Go
on
ahead,
page
Joanne.
6, please eliminate number 5. It was an error that it was just cut and pasted there twice.
And do we need a finding of fact that,
Well, I'm going to have a public hearing first before we get to that.
well, I'm just
Yeah.
giving her a chance to come up with one if she
Well, thank you for
can.
that. Anybody have any other questions for the applicant? You don't have to get down, Austin. I'm going to see if anybody's here to speak. If there is nobody here to speak for the public hearing, you don't have to. If there is, you'll have to do it.
Yep.
All right, at this time, we'll open a public hearing. If anybody would like to speak on this matter regarding this application of map 5, lot 49, now's the time to speak. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Any final discussion, Joanne?
No, I don't have anything.
I'll make a motion then to recommend the application be approved with the following conditions, 1 through 9, as detailed on page 6.
Less 5.
Actually, 1 through
I'm sorry, is there one?
Less number 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, right, you said that.
Number 5 was eliminated?
Right.
Number 6. Number 6.
Number 6, excuse me.
No, it's number 5.
Yeah.
With the finding that it meets all the requirements of the zoning and the change is more in compliance with the spirit of our zoning ordinance.
Precisely.
John, can we have the, John, please have the findings of fact on the page from now on, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So which one did you eliminate, 5 or 6, Joanne? Because I crossed them both out after I heard from 2 different people.
Actually, it should be combined as one. So 5 would, or 6 could be eliminated. But it's not, don't eliminate the language, just the number itself.
Okay, we'll eliminate 6, and then
Wrap it into 5.
all the
Right.
language stays and you just get renumbered.
Yep.
Carlos, did anybody second that?
Second.
You're right on top of that tonight. That's good.
Okay.
Sure.
So, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. You're all set, Russ.
Thank you, appreciate it, guys.
Have a good evening, thanks.
Good luck.
Excuse me, I have a cough tonight, I apologize for coughing. Okay, our second application for the evening is new business, and is a conceptual review. Map 5, Lot 20A, Joanne?
So map 5, the owners of map 5 lot 20A would like to subdivide their property into 2 lots. It is located on Elm Street and Big James Lane. The applicant is here today to speak about access off of Big James Lane rather than coming off of Elm Street, just for safety reasons. So they're here basically just for a conceptual. They know that it's non-binding, but they would like to get some input from the board before they go further with their engineering.
Any questions for staff? I'll let Scott hold off on commenting until after we hear from the applicant. Any comments from board members or questions for staff at this point?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go
No, go ahead.
please.
Go ahead, Richard.
Well, I did take a peek at that, and I noticed that it's like a lot of rock and granite there. Is that something that they have to, permits for drilling or blasting?
Fire department has a blasting permit requirement. There'd be drilling involved with the blasting, but yeah, that goes to the fire department.
And is there a wetland, is there a water catch system on the back of that?
On the
Parcel?
back of that property, I didn't go all the way up, to be honest with you.
You mean on the back of the edge of the road or the back of the property?
On that property itself, because when I was up there the other day looking, it looked like there was some water runoff coming down. And I'm not worried, because I went down, actually, I apologize, I asked for Eric and I meant to ask for you.
Okay.
So I did talk to
Yeah.
Eric. He said there was a water catchment system back there.
So Eric came and talked to me after.
Okay.
And there was a disconnect between, he thought you were talking about something on First Ave.
Oh,
Because he thought you were talking about Mass Road. You mentioned Mass Road, he thought, so.
no, I said Elm Street for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Because
so
I
when
had
he
this in
came
my
back,
hand.
he's like, I probably just confused him even more after I talked to him. So. We do not have any swale on the backside of the
Okay.
property. I honestly didn't go all the way to the top. They're proposing to build on the front portion of the property. They would need to do a wetland delineation. I mean, there's lots of stuff they need to do to.
Well, it
before
looks like they will need to go to the back, Scott, because that's what a 4K epic area is.
Oh, yeah, so they do need to get up there, so. They'll be pumping.
It looks like when you read the numbers.
Yeah.
All right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just more concerned with the, you know, the ecosystem there with the water and all.
Yeah.
Whether it was something that was gonna,
So we have a swale that runs along Elm right there, that goes along the front of this parcel. There's a very shallow swale on Big James Lane, which I have mentioned to them that they'll need a driveway culvert for. And then the rest of the property, once it's the wetlands delineated, we'll know better what they need to
Okay.
do from there.
thank you.
Good, Richard? Bill?
Yeah, just a clarification, perhaps Joanne could answer this. On the police department's response, when I first read this, I took it to be that they would prefer it to be off of Elm Street. Then I reread it, and I don't believe they want it off Elm Street means off of
I
Elm
read it
Street.
the same way.
Yes, it's written.
So I just wanted a clarification, because I didn't, when I got down to DPW, I said it's the first time I've ever seen DPW and police be opposite each other. So I went back and reread it.
When
So
I
just-
first read it, that's what I thought it
Yeah.
meant too.
Oh, okay.
They actually favor Big James Lane.
Yes.
Okay, I just
For safety,
wanted,
yeah.
so that, okay, we all understand that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff from the board members? Seeing none, I'll ask the applicant to come up, identify themselves for the record, and make their presentation.
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, my name is John LaFave. I'm with Fieldstone Land Consultants. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Camden Lawrence. Camden is a member of the Goffstown Fire Department, and he's looking to place a home in the town of Goffstown, and has had a challenge in trying to find a parcel to be able to build upon. Camden's aunt has offered to sell half the parcel to him. So before he went through the subdivision process, he had me take a look at the property to see what challenges he might have before going full-blown and doing a big survey for nothing. So we took GIS, LiDAR, contour information. We had our wetland scientists inspect the site to see if there was wetlands, walk the perimeter, gauge where we thought improvements may go. We then met with the TRC committee to see what they might have for recommendations or see any hurdles. And based upon our preliminary data and our meeting with the TRC, we've come up with a conceptual design, and it's more of a feasibility. We wanted to see if something was feasible before we went and, like I said, did a full-blown survey. So the consensus from the TRC and from our wetland scientists was that Big James Lane would be the best point of access, simply because Elm Street, even though it has a low speed, people tend to go a little faster. And with that corner right there, there would need to be some, a good amount of material removed in order to get safe sight distance. So based upon Big James Lane, and based upon where the client desired to have a home, we put the two and two together to see if it could grade out and what the driveway might be like. It looks like coming off of Big James Lane, they might have a couple of hurdles. One of them being that 50 feet, I'm just pointing to the plan so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Right here, in between Elm Street, Big James Lane, the requirements are 50 feet from an intersection of a road. And we might be close to that. Right now, it looks like we're at 50 feet, but we haven't done a survey yet. So we may need to ask for a waiver from the standpoint of being a little less than 50 feet from an intersection. That's a low-traffic road. It might get 12 trips a day from the residents that are on it. So I don't see that being a huge challenge.
excuse me for just a minute. Joanne, is that a waiver or a conditional use permit?
That's conditional use permit.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Could we work with them and give them a waiver for the lot line separation and make it a waiver on the side line separation and not make it a CUP? Or is that bad planning?
Well, how much short of 50 feet is it?
We don't know.
It's within 5 to 10 feet being short. It's not
10 feet's
on
a
the
lot.
opposite, well, it's not on the opposite end of
Yeah.
the spectrum, and I think it would only be because any driveway apron that's put in there. I just don't know the answers until I get on the ground. I've taken the aerial image, digitized the center line, offset it, and I've also taken the reference plans and best fit them to the homes that were on the site. So my guesstimate of being right there at 50 feet, I think I'm pretty close, but I can't make any guarantees, and I know that that's a challenge, so I want to bring that up just to see what the consensus of the board would be.
Well, I just threw that out there for you to think about, and now we're gonna move on.
Yeah, so could you look at whether or not you could jimmy it just a little bit to meet the 50 feet? I'd rather see you meet the requirement than ask for a waiver personally, but,
Well, I think the driveway has other challenges too.
Yeah.
yeah, okay, well, that one specific item.
Yeah, well, when we get on the ground, we'll likely have a different driveway design, and
Yeah.
that's
Alright.
because there's a second challenge. And the second challenge, I'm showing a 4K box on the top of the hill because of the critical areas. 4K box has to be outside of any critical areas. I don't know the exact limits of the critical areas because, as mentioned, there are some areas of ledge, and when LiDAR is done, a lot of times when it sees voids or imperfections, it tends to gouge those out of the area that it considers a surface, and so it makes a lot of assumptions and pulls. And when we do accurate ground topo, we'll know exactly what the gravel surface is, in which case we'll likely try to snake the driveway down lower. And in lieu of having a 4K box on the plan, another approach I was hoping would be acceptable would be to do a septic design, so we can actually see this is what's being built on the property. So, I mean, we may not use the 4K box on the top of the hill. We would like to have something down below, is kind of where I'm getting at with this. It's just, for right now, I wanted to see if we could even fit a 4K box on the property.
Does the 4K box represent the primary septic area and area to repair it as well? Is that what the 4K
It's there to
represents?
show that there's an area
That's usable.
available that can be used for a septic system. But certainly a septic system design is going to verify that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, a design would be more accurate than just put the box on.
Okay.
I have a question.
You wanna let him finish his presentation? You
No.
wanna- Or you wanna cut it, take it one piece at a
No,
time?
it's up
If
to
there's
you.
questions from, I'd be happy to answer any
No,
questions.
let's go with
from-
them, let's go with the questions, Collis.
When you did the wetland delineation, do you also do a vernal pool survey?
Yeah, so there's no wetlands present on the site. It's all sloping downhill to Elm Street. So Chris went zigzag across the entire lot, didn't notice anything that was wet.
So the answer is no, there are no vernal pools.
There are no vernal
Okay,
pools.
thank you.
Please continue.
Thank you. So, that being said, you know, we understand that we're gonna have to get on the ground and, you know, do all the boundary survey, do an accurate survey to see where everything's gonna go, but before we got too far ahead of the game, we wanted to get consensus from both the TRC and the board, knowing the challenges that we have, and to see if there was one, if the board deemed our approach appropriate, or if they had any comments or could give us any information or insight before we went and take the next step.
Board members?
I guess I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why are you going so far back with the proposed house? It just looks like that's causing you a lot of problems.
We can drop the house down below. He did want to have it a little further away from the road. Based upon where he said, this is where I'd like to have my home, we did a design. So once we actually get some accurate ground topo, I'm sure things will change.
Because that driveway looks problematic with the slope
From a
that
slope,
you,
yeah.
that you're dealing
I
with.
believe that is your your maximum slope 10%, correct? Yeah, so I think that we have that right now. I think that, like I said before, I think that once we get some accurate ground topo, we'll know how we can change the shape of that and how we can better make it match a grade. But knowing that we could at least meet the regulations.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, and I think Scott mentions in his recommendations, clearing the trees at the southwest corner of the lot. My concern is the visibility of that driveway for those folks on Elm Street, and I guess if we recommended clearing the trees, we don't really have any mechanism for making sure they stay clear in the future. So the visibility for that driveway and people that might be coming down Elm Street, you know, turning quickly onto Big James Lane if we're having, so that's, I think, where that 50-foot setback from the intersection is important. And if we can't, I don't know what teeth we have to require that vegetation remain clear for visibility of that driveway at that corner.
It can be a condition of approval, and they have to
Well, I
abide.
think, isn't the 50 feet from 519-1, isn't that your issue, not from Elm Street, is
It's
it?
from Elm Street.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is from Elm
50 foot
Street?
is from the intersection. It's measured along that property line.
Is it, and that's less than, that's 50 feet, huh?
When
thought
I
was
measured
more.
it, it's like, he's right there.
I'm at
So
50
once we see,
feet, but
once you get this
this
the
is based
survey,
upon
we'll see.
approximate information,
Yeah.
so I don't
Yeah.
know. I just,
So let's clear this up, Scott. Are we measuring the property line, the black property line 50 feet, or are we
Yeah,
measuring?
so the way the zoning ordinance reads is the measurement for separation of the driveway is measured where the driveway intersects the property line.
Okay.
And then measured along the property line to where the two right-of-ways meet.
Okay.
So basically that angle there, and then you follow, you know, you don't do a straight line between it, you follow
You
the
follow
property
the
line.
the
existing
property
line.
line.
You're gonna
So,
gain some.
yeah.
All right,
But
so
one
you-
thing they could do, I'm not trying to design this for you, but you'll probably need some place to store stormwater or something. You throw the pond right there, you can never really have trees grow. It's just an idea.
we understand that once we do that kind of a design, and we're gonna have likely have a leach field down below and likely have something for drainage down below.
Yeah.
And,
It's the low point, so all the water's gonna go there. So.
yeah, I was just trying to be practical. If he says, I want a home here, my first thing I wanna do
Yeah.
is see if he can build a home here. I think that once, like I said, we get some more accurate data, I'm sure some things will change, but, I had hoped to just at least get some insight from the town departments. I didn't wanna come in here, with all these challenges and not have some insight.
It's a challenging site, that's for sure.
I think you're gonna wanna submit a driveway profile to us to prove
Yep.
that you can make your 10%?
It's
Yep.
right there.
I got one on the
Yeah,
plan.
well, that's
but
for
yeah.
where it is now, so
Yeah.
we might change it.
Yeah, right.
They'll
We'll-
include it.
Any plans we submit in the future, we'll be sure to have a driveway profile attached so they can see, and the grading associated.
But if you came out on Elm, you eliminate a lot of your design problems.
I think if we came out onto Elm,
Too dangerous.
I don't think they have site distance.
You don't think you
I
have
drive
site
that road
distance?
myself. I wouldn't wanna meet somebody on that corner.
Oh, for the site distance line, okay. I'm just thinking from a site buildable standpoint, it would be much easier.
I
People
agree.
come around that corner way
Agree.
too fast.
Dave, go ahead.
Do they?
Stormwater on the high side of the driveway, are you proposing that it will flow, sheet flow over the driveway?
We will likely have sheet flow with riprap drainage swales that go down to some type of a detention pond.
You don't anticipate culvert or culverts?
No,
I
no,
think
the only
you need-
culvert
I
I
think you need
see is,
one at the
well,
drive
at the
at the
road.
end, yeah.
Yeah, just for the driveway because there's an existing swale there, but I don't see any need for one for any of the remainder of the driveway.
It's
no.
very shallow too. I just don't want to see water get trapped up there.
Yep, yep.
Because this lot is all downhill to the edge of the road, we're gonna want you to be careful with your pre and post stormwater. You know, you gotta try to handle your roof water by maybe some drip drains around the house to reabsorb the water back into the ground. Depending upon the driveway, we've asked applicants to do something with some turnouts to let the water leave the driveway instead of letting it run the whole distance all the way down and flood the ditch at the, you know, the town drainage system at the bottom.
Okay, I'll bring that to our engineer's attention when they go to do a driveway design.
So if you can get rid of some of your driveway water before it gets to the road by sending it off into the woods on the applicant's property, that's beneficial to you.
Yep,
Doesn't have to be, you know, a big deal. It just has to be some turnout so the water can get off the driveway and get into the natural grade.
okay.
Anybody else have any?
So, can I ask a
Carlos?
question? So, you talked about riprap in the ditch lines.
Um,
Are there water velocities that require that? Because I am not a fan of riprap in
It would be depending
In
upon
swales,
it would
unless
be,
it's-
it would be depending upon the velocity, whether or not it would be a
Right.
riprap swale or if it would just be check dams or what have you. That would be the approach of the engineers. Once they actually get into a
Yeah.
design, they would be able to,
Okay, because I'm not a fan of riprap unless it's necessary to reduce velocities and prevent corrosion and scour.
yeah, and I don't
It's a
think
it's a
that,
pain in the neck. You have to maintain it.
understood, I don't think anybody's a fan, but you know, if it's called for, that's when we break it out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I see your driveway profile as the crow flies is 200 feet, but with all these curves in it, you're gonna pay attention to your driveway length, and
He works for the fire department.
he doesn't, the engineer does.
Yes. No, we will.
We just know that there's a threshold.
We do, we know you
As
have
long as you know
that.
there's a threshold, that's all I'm saying on the
Yeah,
site.
this is, I appreciate that.
Where's the water go under the road there, Scott? Does it go across the entrance of Big James down towards the
There's a
lake?
culvert under Big James that runs parallel with Elm Street, and then it crosses about a little shy of midway of that little island of land there. And
Yep.
there's also a culvert that comes, I think, on the west side of this existing house that's there. I believe it's on the west side of that. So that there's a little stream that comes down the hill, culvert under Big James, and then the culvert continues under, I'm sorry, it doesn't continue, there's a gap. Then there's another culvert under Elm Street.
So there's no problem with conveying stormwater away from the site?
I don't believe so. And I mean, they're gonna meet pre-conditioned stormwater, so there shouldn't be any more leaving the site. We just wanna make sure it's not dammed up anywhere on the site or, you know, along the road. That's why they suggested the driveway culvert.
Joanne, does this height have any problems with our steep slope requirements that are set forth in our regulations?
We went over that with John. They can't build over 25% steep slope on more than 25% or more steep slopes, so he's aware of that.
Yeah, and since it's not a ground survey, we don't know for sure, but the plan he came in with for TRC had kind of an idea, or he showed what the 25% and steeper slopes were, and he's on the cusp, so.
I only ask because it's something to ask, and I'm looking at contour lines, and they're all stacked up like ladder rungs.
They are, and you know, I don't know the true answer to what's really out there. It's just, this is the best information we have right now. I do have some hatched areas on your plan. They show up great on a PDF. They don't show up so great on these plans right here now. But there are 25% slopes throughout the site based on the GIS. One of my issues was, where am I going to get the box that's required, the 80 by 100 or the circular box? And right now it's challenged as to where that is. Do I have to build within that box? So.
Actually, we've dealt with that before, and right now, under our regs, you do not. You just have to show it exists. And if you move if you show a septic design, you might have room out back to show the box.
Right.
I think the box is smaller for the R1 zone. The 80 by 100 is for agricultural.
I'm going off memory. I don't remember what the
Yeah,
exact.
yeah.
This is an R1 zone,
What the
Joanne?
circle-
Yes, excuse
circle
me.
is either.
R1?
This is R1.
Another thing I'm looking at is your finished floor elevation on a proposed house at 308.3 on the back corner.
Yep.
And I see your cut in the backyard up at 318 is your tie back in grade at 318.
Yes.
I would like to see you just show us how you're going to handle that 10-foot cut in the backyard to make sure that we don't approve a lot with a big cut in the back that's going to give the applicant trouble with his slopes and
Right.
up in his backyard, and how you're going to stabilize that.
It's gonna be rock face.
Maybe it
Well-
is. It's up to him. All I'm saying is it's
Yeah.
a steep slope, it's a 10-foot cut in that back
Right.
corner, and the 10-foot cut is pretty high cut, and as long as you have some
Understood.
plan to stabilize that slope as shown on your plan, it would be appreciated.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Does anybody have any big problems with this lot that the applicant should know about right now before we open to a public hearing? Well, we'll let you all think about it for a minute. I assume you three are together, so I won't ask you to step down right now. We're going to open a public hearing. If anybody has something to say about map 5, lot 20A, subdivision into 2 lots, now's your time to step forward. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Final comments or questions from board for the applicant? Final questions from the applicant. Do you have anything that you did not get addressed that you were looking for guidance on?
No, my biggest guidance questions, like I said, were Big James Lane. I wanted to see if that was an appropriate, where a waiver might be necessary. That was my big scare, is the access.
Well, I'm sure that based on the evidence that's been stated here tonight, I think most people, including department recommendations, are for you to work it out on Big James if this is going to happen. Because as I said, I've come around that corner and people tend to drive at the 40 miles an hour, which is the posted speed limit back there, at least 40, maybe 35. I'm not sure what it is.
35.
It is at 35?
We don't have any town maintained roads that are posted at 40.
Oh, okay, well, it's 35 then. But even still, 35 is still pretty fast to try to mash the brakes on if someone's trying to pull out of that driveway looking in both directions, so. Big James Lane seems like the safer choice.
How many people use Big James Lane?
2 families.
There's only 2 houses.
There's only 2.
And all the people in the summer that go park there that don't want
That don't have a
don't
sticker.
have parking permits for down the road. You could charge admission to park in your driveway.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bill?
I think this is the area, it used to be called Dead Man's Curve, before Big James, Elm Street used to be up Big James, and it had a curve in there.
Oh, that was the original Elm Street?
Yeah, they had, when they did the dam project for public service in New Hampshire, part of that dam project was to reroute Elm Street. So the original Elm Street is where Big James Lane is.
Oh, that's good to know.
And it used to be called Dead Man's Curve.
That would be a
Obviously.
tight curve.
And that's why we got that name.
Down that hill.
And that's why there's the issues with the property ownership there.
Right.
Yeah, I think the Fish and Game owns a couple of the parcels. And then,
Right.
yep,
Do you feel ready to go do your design and come back sometime?
I do. I just hope it doesn't hurt when I come back.
We've mentioned this before, but designing a driveway exactly at 10% makes your general contractor, he can't make it greater than that.
No, we understand the regulations,
You're
but
right, you're right
this
at the threshold.
this was a feasibility study, basically. Instead of breaking out a checkbook, putting a bunch of money into a project that's gonna go nowhere, it was more of a, let's take a cautious approach and get some input and see if our challenges that we now know of are achievable, and is there anything else out there that we're not thinking of that, you know, we could get some insight from these different departments and boards and what have you, so.
I don't see a well location or radius. Do you have public water on that corner? No.
We don't have it, we'll be putting a well on the lawn.
You'll have to show us where the radius doesn't cross into the septic area, you know that.
Yeah, all the checklist items will meet.
Yeah, he really needs to do
Anything
a septic design.
we need a waiver for, we'll ask for a waiver for it.
You get the septic in the front, you can put your well out back, it'd be easier for you.
Yeah, yeah.
A few more
Once
feet
again,
of
this was,
drilling, but
no, no.
Yeah.
It was more, how do these, is it at least achievable, you know? And I know it's gonna change, so I didn't wanna get beat up too bad on it, but I just wanted to bring something in that says, hey, it looks like we can do it. Do you guys see anything that looks really bad here? Is there something I'm missing?
That's purpose of the conceptual.
Yeah.
We're not doing your job for you.
I know that. No, it's not that. It's more, you know, we work in a bunch of different towns, so I'm just, a lot of times regulations change year to year, and this is something
They do.
I'm missing. I'm hoping somebody points at me, so.
The new one about nobody can have a beard that does a presentation?
No.
just remember, if your house is closer to the road with that back wall, you will have a very quiet backyard, so.
Okay, you have any other questions for the board? Your last
I
shot at
I
it.
don't,
Thanks.
I don't.
See you when you come back.
I want to thank you all for your time tonight.
You're welcome, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Oh, it must be.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Joanne, did I miss anything?
Well, there's a few other items that we have to go through.
Okay,
Under other business,
okay.
we're looking to start putting the CIP committee together, and a few of the people from last year do not want to serve again. So we need someone to chair from the planning board, and we also need maybe one other planning board member to serve at large. And then I think we'll be all set. But for tonight, I have two papers here that need to be signed once you vote on them. One is for Jim Raymond, and the other one is for Brad Parkhurst. They've both agreed to serve. So if you could somebody could make a motion to appoint these two people.
Want to be chair? Jim doesn't want to be.
Well, in your handbook,
Oh, it
it's,
has to be a planning board meeting.
yeah.
That's right.
So,
I'll make a motion to appoint Jim Raymond and Brad Parkhurst as members at large to the CIP committee.
Second.
okay, I'm going to start sending this around. There's 2 pages for each one, and you just need to sign where the red arrow is. Right, like you would
Yeah.
just start here. You know how to do this.
Should we vote on that before we?
As soon as I finish writing it
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Okay, we have a motion by Barbara, and seconded by whom?
Phil got it.
Phil?
That's pretty close.
You're pretty close. I thought I heard Colleen first.
Oh,
All right.
You snuck in.
So any discussion on the motion to appoint Jim Raymond and Brad Parkhurst as community at large CIP members? No discussion? Excuse me. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Okay, now you can pass it around.
Joanne, question, how many other slots are there on the CIP committee?
So there's a representative from budget,
School board.
School board, the selectman's office. Who else is on there? Budget, school board, planning. Budget, school board, planning, at large. And you can have more than one at large person.
Well, I guess I asked that because I don't want people to think that we just, sort of, if you're on a board, you get on it forever. I mean, we just sort of approve that pretty quickly. But there's probably going to be a fair amount of new members on CIP, so having Jim Raymond and Brad Parkhurst on it again would be valuable. But
Right.
I just want to make it clear that there are other slots if people are interested in being on CIP
We have
Right.
to apply
The-
for, to be
the
appointed to
citizen
it.
at large, and then we need a planning board person to chair.
Right.
We haven't heard yet from budget because they haven't met. I think they're meeting next week.
Next week.
And, excuse me, we have heard from school board, we have heard from the select board.
Okay.
So it's pretty wrapped up. The first meeting would be May 1st, and I think you all received copies of the calendar from Patty. You probably had it emailed to you.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I think it might have been emailed today or yesterday.
All right, I've got it.
Their meetings are through the summer on the off Thursday nights of this board.
Planning board.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 meetings altogether, and then in September, the committee presents to this board, and then this board would adopt the CIP and then send it off to the select board
On the budget committee.
in the budget committee for inclusion in the budget. The other item is, we had received an inquiry from a David Brown.
Let's stick one
Oh,
subject
sorry,
at a time.
thought you were done.
We still have to finish our business here. Anybody interested in being chair of the CIP committee? There's also EDC, which no one has bothered to volunteer to be on for the last, what, 3 years now?
Roughly, yeah.
At least?
Is your
So-
Ritalin worn off or what?
It'd be nice if someone would volunteer to be on budget committee, the Economic Development Council. I've done that myself as a planning board member.
They meet once a month on the first Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock, and their meetings usually only go for an hour.
So let's start with the CIP committee. Does anybody at this table wish to be chair of the CIP committee?
He's already been asked by Patty.
Yeah?
Who? He's sitting over there awful quiet. I guess he's not gonna do it.
I just can't commit to that schedule.
And a lot of big projects this summer.
Can you repeat when they meet? 6 times?
They meet six times on the Thursday, the off Thursdays, so it's May 30th, June 6th, June 20th, July 18th, August 1st, and August 15th. And then on September 12th, you would already be here, but they would be coming to this
Right.
board. So it's basically 6 nights during the summertime.
Depending on what happens in the next week or two, I might be able to do it.
Okay, well, as long as we have somebody by the 30th, thank you.
At the first at 7 o'clock, that's the deadline.
So the deadline, the first,
May 1st at
Oh,
7
May
o'clock is
1st.
the first meeting,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it's the,
no,
it's the
May
organ-
30th is.
Oh,
the
it's May
first,
30th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the
And
organizational meeting.
The
yeah.
meetings begin at 6 o'clock, not 7.
Okay.
Is there a problem with him being on the budget committee and being, running CIP? Is that a problem? I mean,
So the
we haven't
budget
had that
committee,
happen in the past.
The budget committee will
Concerning
have
me?
a rep.
someone as their representative.
He can't be a rep from the planning board and the budget committee.
Okay.
He couldn't chair it as the budget committee rep.
He'd have to be the
That's
planning
true.
board rep.
You'd have to be the planning board rep, and then somebody else from budget
Yeah.
could be the budget rep.
So I think Samantha Kearns was on there last year.
She was, and she told Patty she was still interested.
Oh, she is?
All right.
No, well, the budget
What do
committee
you
will
mean on
decide
Tuesday?
on
Yeah.
I know summertime's hard for people.
Well,
So
Barbara,
Brian,
if
are
you're
you
willing
saying you-
to
I-
do it or you
I-
can't?
I'm considering.
I
consider
haven't
it,
made a comment. I think.
Oh,
I
okay.
will,
Okay.
I'll co-chair it with you and we can maybe share that and make sure one of us shows up for a meeting and we get the process done.
We
can
can
split it
consider
up somehow.
I will consider it.
Okay, we'll leave it at that then tonight.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to do EDC?
That's an easy one.
They give you drinks and they have party favors and all kinds of stuff.
No, not that
Is
far.
there pizza?
Sometimes.
What are you pointing at me for?
You want to go to
You-
EDC?
I thought,
He talked about food and you're pointing at the fat guy.
I didn't say anything.
You pointed though.
Just
It was implied. It was implied.
I was pointing at David.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's the wagging finger story. All right, I guess we're not going to settle either tonight, so we'll move on. What else, Joanne?
Okay, so we had an application form from David Brown, who was interested in serving. He was away for those few weeks. He was supposed to come to tonight's meeting, but he's not here, so.
Well, then I'm not going to, I don't want to act on an application if we can't meet the person.
Okay. And the other thing is, oh, this list. So you had asked me at the last meeting to put together a contact information list for the board members here to share amongst the board,
Yeah,
not,
this is
not
privately.
to give it out to the public. And so I was told that in order for me to do this, you have to make a motion to allow for it, so that you all agree. I know you all agreed, but you have to all agree as part of a motion before I can release the information
So a motion to release the information.
to the members.
Well, wait a minute. You hand it out at a public meeting, it's public information, so it's not just to the
So
members.
then let's not do anything with it.
Okay, well, we can email it to you. I don't know if that makes a
No,
difference.
it doesn't.
Like, how do I get
That's a
this to
public-
you?
I-
I've never heard of such a thing before. This is the first time it's
If I may,
been
Barbara,
requested.
interrupt you for a moment. I want everybody to know that Derek Horn told us 5 or 6 years ago that if you accept planning board or official documents on your email, personal email, you are subject to the Right to Information Act
Yeah.
for every email that's in your server if someone wants to come in and look for a planning board document. So
Correct.
be
It is
careful.
subject
Yep.
to dispute, but the
Well.
fact that the town has it,
I wouldn't want to even have to go there
No.
if I was
Yeah.
a personal
Yeah.
email owner.
Yeah.
And I refuse
I
to.
think it might be sort of fun to have somebody go through my personal email and watch the agony that ensued.
Well,
Including your personal photos?
Oh, right,
Well,
right.
all I
don't
can
have
say is
any.
that I
that's on
refuse,
your phone too.
I started refusing anything from the planning department on my personal email about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I get an email from the planning department or any of them, click, I delete it. I don't even read it.
I don't, I'm
don't
not
look
sure
at it.
that Derek's interpretation of it is 100%.
Well, I don't want to have to hire a lawyer.
I
to
understand
protect
that,
myself.
I'm not arguing it, but, you know, to say at a public meeting, we're passing out a secret list of contact information is not really kosher.
So let's back that up there.
So how do we ever get it to you?
Would it be
Mail it?
possible for people, if wanted a contact list, to go to the planning office and request one from Joanne?
I don't even know why we're talking about this, to be
Okay, let's not
honest.
talk about it. Move on, next subject. What's
Okay,
next?
I guess-
Adjournment?
I'll just hold it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a very busy meeting on the 25th,
I'm sure it'll be gone.
just so you know.
Who seconded Phil's motion?
Richard.
Well, I mean, I have travel issues, that's.
So, the next
CIP
meeting,
issue.
Joanne, you said is busy?
Very busy.
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff continued to it. I mean, this
Yeah.
sort of goes to our procedure as to at what
Yeah.
point do we say, no, you can't come on that night?
I'll tell you what's on there.
I can read it.
Oh, no, you don't have the updated
We don't have
version.
everything.
Bigelow, the Tenny Hill Road, 2-lot subdivision, St. A's. Hemley condos are coming back for a lot line adjustment. The retail store that came in, I believe they came in and spoke with you.
It came in
Near the
conceptually.
car
By
wash.
the car wash.
And Roger Blood is coming in for a 2-lot subdivision on that same property that he
Oh, that's
made those
Well,
adjustments.
I thought we
Which-
had, I thought,
He's coming back.
It's coming back again.
Okay.
good.
Which one of the Tenny Road subdivisions
This is
that?
the long common
Jane
driveway, they
Bigelow.
didn't want to put the second house off the back of the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Just
That was
a mile out in the
Mike
woods.
Dahlberg was,
This is the Mike Dahlberg one?
no, I'm sorry, this
This
is
is-
not Mike Dahlberg.
Okay.
Mike Dahlberg was approved. This is Matt, is it Matt
Matt Peterson.
Peterson?
Yeah. Okay, we don't have anything new from that though.
No, he's supposed to be getting us something, but
I'm not gonna have time to review it, that stormwater plan for them before next Thursday. I already have,
it's not next,
for the
Thursday, it's
25th,
the-
yeah, I'd have to have my comments.
Yeah,
oh,
they're
for next
fantastic.
Thursday, yeah, okay.
And I already have enough.
So
to-
that would be
to
the,
review,
so
the
that's what-
Tenny.
Yeah.
Bigelow, you're waiting for comments, you haven't received them yet?
No, they were supposed to do a stormwater report for that
Oh,
one.
well then,
If it's not.
Joanne, you need to notify those people.
I'll notify
Yeah,
Matt.
it's,
Yeah.
it's,
That's
I
still
don't
to
think
May
it's
9th at a
doable.
minimum.
Yeah.
Well, maybe St. A should have been moved to the next one.
Well, Scott said that he thinks that one's
I'm
fine.
just saying.
That one has
How
the-
busy it was.
Third-party review for that one.
How about that retail store? Have you looked at that one yet?
It's just started to today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say for the record, and no one's going to want to hear this from me because I usually have a big mouth when I open it. I think it's pretty bad that we have planning board here, that people will not step up and be on EDC or volunteer to be on CIP. There's a lot of us who have done this for years and years and years and have gone out and done CIP and done EDC. Barbara's done it, I've done it, she's done Southern New Hampshire Planning, Dave's done Southern New Hampshire Planning. Phil was in a selectman for years. I think we need to get involved as planning board and get on these committees and get them done. Because other people in the past have taken their personal time and done it. And we're either gonna tell EDC are we statutorily required to have people on any of these?
EDC is sort of an ad hoc committee that we have here in town, and I don't really want to talk about EDC because.
I understand.
Okay,
understand.
thank you.
So I think we
I
can
agree
just,
with you, Tim, but I apologize, I'm stretched way too thin.
you're a selectman's rep, you're not a planning board elected official.
Well, you're
I'm talking about the planning board
You're talking about-
elected
No,
members.
C.
you can't be a member from the planning board for the EDC. It needs to be an elected.
Is that
Yeah,
a
yeah.
exclusion?
I think we should have a little hand vote right now before we vote on the, do we choose to participate in EDC in the future, or do we choose to not be required to go to EDC? Or is it just strictly a annual vote on whether to attend or not? Because I think it's pathetic that we keep bringing it up every year and nobody volunteers. So it's getting to the point now, so what's the point of even saying we're gonna participate?
Because maybe Bear will decide after he's been on the committee for a while, he'd like to go.
I've got a concern of a conflict between the EDC being a board that's intended to encourage economic growth and commercial development, and we as planning board members who are reviewing site plan applications for commercial development. I see that there's a conflict between those two boards. And
If
so I
you
just-
actually looked at what EDC does, there is no conflict. I mean,
I think what they're supposed to be doing versus what they are doing, I don't know.
well, I mean,
just
I think it's one of the committees the selectmen should review as to why we have it, to be honest.
No, we have an ADC
Well, I'm saying.
director, so we gotta have a committee to,
Well,
the
I'm
director to
not,
be with.
It was restructured from the industrial council.
Oh, is
I-
that where it came from?
yes, I know, Phil and I know the history, but, you know.
So, I just had to get it off my chest, I said it, that's the end of it for me.
Okay.
All right, now Phil, you have a motion on the floor. Anybody want to discuss Phil's motion? Seeing nobody, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, good, we're out of here. Thank you, GTV.